This episode makes no fucking sense. So the shtick here is that the fashionistas, from that one episode that nobody likes, are out of jail and claiming to be reformed. But of course we've got our first issue already. The show they claim this on is called The Turnaround Tank, and Buttercup outright states that reformation isn't possible. Which, again, she says while watching a show called The Turnaround Tank. Sounds like, based on the name, the point of that show would be people reforming their lives. Why the fuck are you watching this show then? Whatever, they apparently have this new clothes thing called a smoji, which is just a fucking scarf. Even one of the judges points out that it's just a fucking scarf.
But can a scarf be worn like this?
Yes. Okay, this isn't really a knock against the episode since, typically it's just marketing that really makes something sound more unique and luxurious in fashion than it really is. But yeah, you can totally do those things with a scarf. The fashionista's pitch certainly convinces the girls at the very least, so they ask the professor to buy it for them. But there's a slight problem here. I mean, other than the fact that it contradicts cheap thrills, since apparently Buttercup has her own money, so she'd be able to go buy it herself. Now, it's possible that she just saved up an allowance or whatever in order to buy it, therefore the professor would probably have a little bit more control over what she's buying. But Buttercup buys that frisbee without any kind of adult supervision anyway. So it really seems like at the very least, Buttercup would have the ability to buy her own smoji at some point. The other problem here is that the professor doesn't like the slogan, "Looks are everything." Which, well, he's right. Living by the motto, "Looks are everything," isn't very good because looks aren't everything. I'll go a little bit further into that later on. But I think it's worth noting that he's a little bit stuck up about it. I mean, there's lots of businesses that do far worse things than just having a vain slogan. I'm pretty sure if it weren't for the nature of this particular battle, he would probably be fighting the wrong battle. But like I said, in this situation, it turns out that he's right. The professor foolishly thinks the other parents will think the same thing. So he's completely unaware that, number one, most people aren't going to give a shit about this sort of thing. And that's not even something that's specific to present day. People very rarely give a shit about this sort of thing. And number two, the girls go to school with a bunch of high schoolers who probably have their own money and would be allowed to spend it however they want as long as they're not doing anything illegal or getting tattoos or shit like that. I mean, granted, I guess I can't really blame him for forgetting about that, considering the fact that it wasn't the case 2 episodes ago! Yeah, apparently Blossom's also on student council with these high schoolers. Even though Presidential Punch-Out, which again was 2 episodes ago, it's that quick, featured absolutely no one in that age range. And guess what? It was an election for student body president. The head of student council. Where's Matt Manser? Why does he not have a say-so in whether Blossom's on student council or not? Don't make no goddamn sense. They also kicked Blossom out of the student council, and it's heavily implied to be because she doesn't have a smoji. Which even for high school is completely unrealistic, mostly because student council isn't about popularity once you're, actually in student council. The fashionistas offer the girls free smojis, though. And I feel like there's an interesting gray area to bring up with the whole looks are everything. And going back to that, the professor's point of view is correct that looks are not, in fact, everything. But the fashionistas are not actually saying looks are everything when they're talking to the girls. They are saying that looks do matter, that looks are an indicator of respect. And true, people are more likely to respect you if you are dressed properly. However, that isn't to say that you suddenly become disrespected when you are no longer dressed properly. That doesn't mean that your clothing is the only thing that gets you respect. I think the fact that the fashionistas were criminals and being sent to jail frequently, they were not celebrities when they were doing things illegitimately. I think that sort of points to that being true. And yes, if Blossom were up to date on fashion, I'm sure that she would be more successful than if she were not up to date on fashion. But the fact remains that there is a little bit of unrealism, which isn't a word, but there's a lack of realism when it comes to Blossom sort of suddenly being pushed to the side just because she doesn't have a smoji, which is really just a fad at the end of the day. As like it's not been long enough for that to be just part of culture. You know what I mean? So basically what I'm trying to say here is that yes, the statement here that you do need to dress in order to get respect is true, and that doesn't necessarily mean smojis, and that's also probably another case of the fashionistas sort of manipulating their message a little bit more in order to manipulate people, and that makes them good villains in that sense. But the professor is also right that looks are not the only thing that is important. And now for a jump cut, because I forgot to say at the end of that we're going to talk about the daydream sequence now. The dream sequence is hyperbolic, whatever, I don't really care. Who the fuck is this? Who this motherfucker riding in on a spaceship? Remember what I said about Snow Month actually being episode 37 apparently, but airing earlier in other markets as though it's not actually supposed to be episode 37, but in fact is supposed to be in the order that I put it in? Yeah, you see why I did that, right? Because this scene makes a lot less sense when Snow Month hasn't happened yet. With Snow Month not having happened yet, instead of being like, oh look, it's Jared Shapiro from that one episode a few episodes back. Okay. Instead, it's like this random fucking creeper coming out of a goddamn spaceship calling Blossom darling. Why is Blossom imagining this guy as her boyfriend? Why is she imagining this guy as her boyfriend / significant other? I don't know. Like, seriously, it makes a lot less sense with Snow Month coming after this episode. Twitter montage! I don't care that it's not actually Twitter. Shut up. They get caught. The professor explains it's all about principles, and again, I agree with that sentiment, but I do feel like, you know, in reality, he's being a bit stuck up about it, but at the same time, him being stuck up about the whole thing kind of serves a purpose in this episode, so, you know, it's all good. Scene where Blossom sees the smoji sitting on the counter. Ignore that. It's not relevant. Not at all. Hey, hashtag looks are everything are the top trend on internet website. And there's a bit of a problem I have with this, so let me get this straight. You imply that the hashtag wasn't the number one before the girls, even though it's heavily implied literally everybody else in town bought the damn smojis. Were they just not posting about it before the girls did? Then, why are you using social media as your metric? Just seems kind of stupid. Then again, big corporations tend to be out of touch like that, but this isn't a big corporation. This is a startup, really. But then it gets worse. So apparently the fashionistas can use the smojis to turn people into their zombie slaves or something. And you know what? This would be fine if not for the fact that we were explicitly told their motivations earlier in the episode. We were told that their motivation is fame. They already have fame. Hell, when they activate the damn smojis, the thing that Bianca says is that they're building their fan base. And one of the problems there is like, that's just it. If their motivation is just fame, they achieved it legitimately. And they achieved it much easier legitimately than they did by conducting criminal activities. So I can't help but have a problem with the fact that now it's a mind control thing. I mean, I suppose you could call that sort of an escalation of the situation of trying to get fame, I suppose. But here's the thing. Them making the smojis as scarves that are capable of being used as mind control devices is a hell of a lot more effort than just making scarves and marketing them the same way. It is more effort to make them mind control devices than to just make them fashion accessories. So you stupid on that front, and you get the same fame anyway. I mean, you don't get fucking drones, but you don't need that. I suppose they could. I suppose it being over the top is the point, but it strikes me the wrong way, even if it is the point. And another thing worth pointing out about that is, I think it would make more sense if we find out at that point that their motivation this time is much more prevalent. Like if it's like, okay, now we're gonna take over the world with our fame, or now we're gonna take over Townsville with our fame at the very least, or hell, it could just be as simple as, okay, we have the means now to destroy the Powerpuff Girls, or make the Powerpuff Girls our slaves. Like if the whole Smoji thing was to get rid of the Powerpuff Girls, because in the previous in Bye Bye Bellum, they wanted to get rid of the Powerpuff Girls. This time that almost seems like a fucking side project. They just seem like they're less intelligent than they should be, you know? News report about Bianca controlling the town. Oh my god, Blassen's a zombie! Now this is where the episode actually starts working really well, and I would say that it's because of something that a lot of people complain about from the reboot in general. That it's oftentimes, and sometimes I have this complaint too, but not here, that an outside force often saves the girls, but it works here. Let me explain. The professor is pissed at Blossom's blatant disobedience and drives to the gathering of the Juggalos in order to scold her. And let me make it perfectly clear why this works here. See, part of the complaint elsewhere is that the girls aren't saving the day because they're incompetent. They're more incompetent than they should be. And I do agree with that in a number of instances. But here, it's not that they're incompetent. It's that there's someone they view as having authority over them who is telling them not to. That's a bit different. This scene with the professor getting repeatedly thrown at the cars speaks more to what I'm talking about than what I could actually say about it. But I'm gonna try anyway. Bubbles and Buttercup would probably be capable of handling this situation much quicker than the professor is able to do it, and with much less pain, let's be realistic. But the reason they don't is because of the professor being, well, an angry father. I mean, the professor's slightly out of character in doing that, but not so much out of character that I really have an issue with that. I guess some people could see more of an issue with the professor being out of character, but to me, in this instance, it works, especially when we get into the very end of the episode. The professor winds up taking Bianca's scepter and throwing it into a giant screen to save the day. And he actually does punish Blossom, although I will say that it seems like the punishment was pretty light. I mean, he just makes her do chores, and then they all go for ice cream. But that's kind of where I feel like the professor gets back to being in character. Once he knows that the lesson has been learned, he just goes back to being happy dad again. I think my issue with this is that the last couple of minutes I feel like were great. The first couple of minutes I feel like were garbage, and the middle was just okay. I think that's where I fall. It's definitely not the worst episode. I guess all in all, my opinion is that it's okay, but I still stand by the whole it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, the fashionista's motivation being so weird, that kind of throws me off. And the beginning with Buttercup saying that nobody can reform while watching a show about people reforming that the name indicates is about people reforming, like that just, like, there's a lot of things that struck a nerve, but the last couple of minutes was fucking great. Once we have the professor starting to go off and be an angry dad, I really enjoyed watching that. And there were some good questions, and there were some good morality things being brought up that indicated gray areas. And honestly, I think Bianca as sort of this very manipulative villain could be written a lot better than this. And I saw shades of that in this episode. But overall, it's just still doesn't make any sense though.